Warning, the following is intended for immature adult audiences. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. What's up, Beer League hockey fans and fellow dumpers? Welcome to another unedited, unfiltered, worldwide Dump and Skate podcast, or in Holland's case, a dump before the game or a dump during the podcast. The number one hockey podcast in the Bluffton, Hilton Head area, the Pooler, Georgia area, and the Aurora, Oswego, and Naperville, Illinois area. And go ahead and fact check me on that because I already looked. And the countries of Israel, Canada, and Colombia. Shout out to Corey, my favorite baloney pony droney homie. We are the Hockey Dynamic Dumpers, or as our haters call us, the 69er couple podcasters. I am the schedule. Shut up. I am the podcast scheduler, social media content creator, official video and audio editor, the broken, old, and decrepit bender, the ball buster, the one that benders feel comfortable enough to start the game running their mouths when I don't even know you existed. I am the admin's bitch and the sounding board. Jeremy, keep calling me daddy, and you're coming home with me to pee in my shower, Abdoo. With me, as always, the man that makes this podcast possible, the only producer that doesn't do any editing because he doesn't have all the time in the world to edit Abdoo's blind squirrel moments. The, as Dane worded it, talent of the podcast. The guy I have to nag to upload this podcast, but I know with this guest, he's uploading it ASAP. The guy that won't hesitate to help out any family or friends in need. The friend and brother that will always have your back on and off the ice, even when drunk people are just running their mouths to D1 athletes. The very hardworking man, Jeremy. There is no one around me. As a matter of fact, I'll go behind the net while the other team is still at the other end of the rink and fall down Holland.
What a pull. Oh, my God. I just want to be clear. That was a 2.5 minute intro. So you cannot continue to give me crap. I think Corey has his own 30-second window to get his full name in there. Or his
because we love him and he is family.
Baloney, droney, pony, rony,
no,
homie.
It's the baloney, pony, droney, homie. But before we let Holland take over his, Pete Rossi has been out of town for work, so there is no date night update with me and Pete Rossi. There will be one next week because we have an 8:00 game on Thursday, and we're gonna go to our favorite date night spot. Well, our second favorite date night spot, Zunzi's. Maybe we can stop by the Fancy Parkers.
Do I want to ask what? So Fancy Parkers is the first favorite.
Fancy Parkers is the first one because that's where it all started, and that's where his pre and post game IBS meals happen.
Fancy Parkers is your favorite date spot. Is like McDonald's is your favorite date spot. You know, we're just in and out of there. Like
that dollar menu. That dollar menu.
It's not a dollar menu at Fancy Parkers. I can assure you. So, holy crap! What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all shapes, sizes, and flavors? Welcome into your favorite podcast, or your favorite beer league podcast, rather, the Dump and Skate podcast. We are super excited. Today we've got a really, really, really fun guest that we've not known for very long, but an absolute all-timer, had a blast, went out with us for Mr. Abdoo's birthday.
And don't forget Zach Sprent's birthday.
Abdoo, Adobo, whatever it is.
Boo-boo daddy. Boo-boo daddy.
Boo-boo daddy's birthday, and one Mr. Zach Sprent's. Had a great night. I did actually yesterday. I told you guys, I was like, my wife's gonna be like, where the heck are you? Last night, I sat on the bed and I was like, I got to tell you about Thursday night. She was like, yeah, I got up in the middle of the night to go pee and was like, what the crap is going on? Where are you at? And so she looked on the phone and she was like, why are you still downtown? What is going on? So I was like, it wasn't my fault. I said, I swear it wasn't my fault. It was the people that
36 hours later, and I still have bags under my eyes, and I am exhausted. And our guest is still busting my balls about it. So.
Oh, as she should. So before we go any farther, guys, we're We're going to institute a new rule on this. If you laugh or like anything you hear, you got to follow us. You got to like, you got to subscribe, all that stuff. So find us on YouTube, find us on Spotify, find us on Apple, Spotify, all the social medias, even the TikToks. Abdoo loves the TikToks. It's his favorite thing to do now.
Oh, God, no, it is not.
Not really, but yeah, I love the uncomfortableness that exudes from him when he is forced to do it. And he does do a pretty good job. So find us, follow us, like us, subscribe, all those good things. It helps get our content out to a broader audience. So, want to give a quick shout out to our good friends at B&R Sports. Anything you need equipment wise, jersey wise, all that stuff. We got several teams that have jerseys that should be coming in pretty soon, and a few more teams that are getting some reorders that should be rolling in here as well. If you've been to the league or seen any pictures we posted, you've seen some of the nice jerseys these guys do and pump out. They look phenomenal. If you're a beer league team, you're like, man, I don't know where to get my jerseys. Don't go to the big box places that you know, internet sites and all that stuff. Hit the guys up at B&R Sports. Let them hook you up. They do a great job. Socks, jerseys, the whole 9 yards, shells, everything. Looks really good. Our guys in the Zeros, we may not play particularly well, but we look really, really, really good. So, I mean, that counts for something. So, but yeah, give our boys at B&R Sports a shot, and they take care of us. We know they'll take care of you, so we love supporting the guys that support us. That's brsport.com. So, and then one more quick plug before we get our guest on. We don't want to make them wait any longer. Our first, I don't know if we're going to call it our first annual, but we're definitely going to call it the first. We're doing a full-blown Zeros sponsored adult hockey tournament. It's going to be August 22nd and 24th. Guaranteed 4 games. All the big names are involved. Your boys are involved in it. Dump and Skate guys, of course, Zeros are the title sponsor, but Chicagoland Print, B&R Sports, All Seasons Rink, Crossbar Food and Drinks, all involved, all helping promote this. And so going to be a big time. We're going to bring up at least one team from the Savannah area. We're working on trying to bring up a few more, have a good time. We really want to make it not so much of a like uber competitive tournament, but a tournament where we can have a lot of fun, mix the guys that Abdoo's gotten to know down here and really become a part of his life and his community here. Get those guys involved with the Chicago community that's been such a big part of his life, you know, forever. And just have a good tournament, have a good time, spend a lot of time up there, take some guys up here, or from here up there to kind of experience Abdoo's old stomping ground. Maybe visit Boys Town and stay there for a little while. Cooch said it's the jam. So, anyways,
I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited.
Yeah, should be a good time. So hit us up. We'll have more info on that. If you got questions about it, let us know. We've been talking it up here in the league. But if you're listening in one of the many countries or states that Abdoo's talked about, and you're like, oh, I could get a team and put them together, let us know. Shoot us a DM. Abdoo will send you pictures or videos or something back. But he'll also give you some. He'll also give you some info on the tourney. So, all right, my guy, let's get him in here.
All right. I hope I don't mess this one up because
you will, but it's okay.
All right.
It's just par for the course.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first guest of 2025 is an awesome one. This.
Oh, it is. Yeah. No, you're good. Sorry, I screwed. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought you were about to say our first guest of this season, and I was like, no, but you are correct. First guest of 2025. I'm so sorry. Look at the look on your face. Just start over. I'm sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first guest of 2025 is an awesome one. Ladies and gentlemen, our first guest, not of the season, but of 2025 is an awesome one. This young lady is definitely a perfect fit for the Zeros travel team. Hashtag point the wiener up or down to pee. She is also the most requested sub goalie in the B League, and I am officially making her the Zeros B, 40-plus, and travel team goalie if anything happens to our current goalies. I already got Cooch's approval, so sorry, Lindsay. She just has to be better at texting, but she is definitely Zeros locker room material. She started skating at the age of 3. She joined her first team at the age of 4. She played goalie for the St. Lawrence D1 women's team, where she was the starting door opener and backup to some elite goalies, which are currently in the PWHL. She was also a youth hockey coach before moving to the Savannah area, and you can tell she loves kids because she is a pediatric ER nurse for kids. And that's all I have right now because she took way too long to reply to my text. Also, because I'm old as fuck and my bedtime is around 5, so I actually had to be a creeper and look her up. But her name is way too common, and there's a million people with her name. So, For a girl with social media, she is horrible at replying to texts. She is like all of our 25 and under guests that do that stupid social media trend where they're always on their phones. They just don't respond to our texts. Ladies and gentlemen, from the New York area, I would like to introduce to you the lovely Grace. I ate way too many deep fried Oreos. I might have to poop Smith. Now, I know we talked about this the other night, but for the sake of our listeners, do you pee in the shower? And really quick, before all of our tightwad listeners say, oh my God, Abdoo just asked a young girl that question. Look, fuckers, I told you that she has zeros material and she passed the screening test. So just calm down. So
my answer to that is who the fuck doesn't pee in the shower?
Raise your hand.
That's
Abdoo.
my answer.
There he is.
Yeah.
There
Right
he
here.
is.
Right.
Well,
And
that's
I
the
just talked to
answer.
someone today before we did the podcast. My friend Kendra does not pee in the shower and she thinks it's gross. And she is an actual female. So
She's an
Yeah.
actual
I
female.
stand on the side of if somebody says they don't pee in the shower, they're lying. So I still think that there's a chance that you're lying.
if you want,
I don't think that Abdoo. Nope, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do what you're about to do. Let's not do that. But I still stand on the fact that Abdoo is not lying. He does not pee in the shower. His reaction when we first started talking about it was so like, ooh, grody. I was like, nobody reacts that way unless you really, really think like that's disgusting. And so, yeah, I don't quite fully. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't have a good explanation for it. Like, not even a
I
little
believe
bit.
he said
Also,
he tried to, and he got pee shy, right?
Well,
I
after-
had stage fright.
Yeah,
yeah,
Stage
he got
fright.
stage
You got
fright.
stage fright?
Yeah, he was like, come on, work already.
You make it sound like I had like whiskey dick or something like that, and I couldn't get it up. No, I was trying to pee in the shower. I promise.
You never know, buddy. You never
But
know.
hey, Grace, welcome to the podcast. It is
Yeah.
since we hung out Thursday night, I was really looking forward to doing this podcast. You are such a fun time, and thank you for coming out for my birthday and buying the deep fried Oreos. That was awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm super excited to get into some conversation here. You
Absolutely.
guys are
Yeah.
so funny.
Well, one of us is funny. The other one tries to keep everything together. I did blame Thursday night on you, by the way, Grace. Now, it wasn't 100% your fault. We're going to blame your brother a little bit. And so
yeah.
I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag
He's the
here. You
first
don't
one to leave.
I know, but you don't know what so he looked at Abdoo and I. So clearly like we gave out some strong like
Old man vibes.
old man like so I probably because I have 5 kids, 3 dogs and all that other stuff, I probably just look like a dad. Abdoo obviously looks more like a daddy. So clearly there was like a dad thing going over in the corner where we were sitting at. Anyways, when we had made it to McDonough's, and I told my wife, it wasn't my fault. I was trying to get out of there. I wanted to go home at like midnight. And so your brother was like, hey, will you guys make sure she gets back to the car good? And I was like, yeah, no problem. And then I realized, wait a minute. Now I'm responsible for making sure Grace, all of a sudden you were like our 13-year-old little sister that we had to make sure got, on
We
the school
felt
bus.
responsible for you.
And so Abdoo and I both were like, we would like to leave at 12:30 because we would just like to go on and go home. And we had to sit there longer because
till like
yeah.
2:15.
Yeah. So no, it is your fault, but it's not because you didn't know that. And I get
I did
it
not know
because I know. I get where he would say like, hey, I don't even know you guys. Can you please just make sure she makes it back to her car good for me? That'd be really good. Like, and again, full grown adults, blah, blah, blah. We get it. But when I made that comment to my wife, she was like, no, it makes sense why you and Abdoo would think you needed to stay there. Like, I get it. She was like, that's pretty late though. I was like, exactly what we thought too. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
it
so
was
tired. And I was up at 5:30 the next morning.
I was
at
at
home at
7:30. It was.
Up at 5:30.
I'm still tired.
Kids made the bus. Everything went really well. Such a good time. So
Wow, I'm impressed. I
That's-
stayed in bed all day.
yeah, there it is. I was gonna say for all the crap she's giving you about like, oh man, I'm gonna hear about this forever. I was like, I guarantee you she didn't get out of the bed that next day.
No,
like,
I did
nobody
not,
stays.
no.
I mean, I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
I actually got up to get my DoorDash Chipotle. I ate it, and then I went right back to bed.
These freaking people. Gee, that is what it's just.
It's an off day, okay? Off days I have to spend
Off
recovering.
day is split in the bed eating Chipotle.
No, I ate Chipotle, and then I went back to bed.
Fair enough. So yeah, it was a really good time though. We did have, even though we were, like I said, would have preferred to be at home in bed. We had a great time hanging out. You were a blast. Abdoo said it. We both talked about it. You are 100% like a good fit for what we do in the travel locker room. Gets a little more male vulgar than what we would be willing to subject you to. But it's like your personality, I mean, you're a gamer. You were a lot of fun to hang with, and so we were like, yeah, she would definitely fit in. So, based on Abdoo's intro, I would say that Kyler, Brent, and Berkey probably all need to be very, very careful about making sure they know what's on the other side of the door when the doorbell rings, because I could very well see Abdoo sending someone to like
Making the cut.
break some knees and be like, oh, Grace, something happened to our goalie. Like a guy showed up at their door and hit him with a baseball bat. Now they can't be there. You got to travel with us. Oh, no. So, Kyler, this is your fair warning. I know you listen. Berkey and Brent, I'm not sure if you guys listen, so shame
Brent
on you.
doesn't.
This is your warning. You're going to miss it. But, yeah, just be really careful about who you open the door for. If you're going around the corner, you don't want to get – what was that chick from the ice hockey – or not ice hockey, from the figure skating? What was her name that, like, hit the girl with the crowbar?
Oh, Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding?
Yeah, Tanya Harding. There you go. Yeah. You don't want to get Tanya Harding or Nancy Kerrigan or whatever it was. Yeah. So be careful out there. Grace, you're good. I don't think he'll send anyone after you. I think he wants you to fill in too. Grace, tell us a little about your time at St. Lawrence. Did the bio thing that you just gave of her being the professional door holder, did you write that or did you write that, Grace?
No, she sent that to me today. I asked her yesterday. She was probably passed out still, but I said, hey, can you send me a little bit of your hockey history? And then she answered every other message after that throughout the entire day. And then she answered it today.
Let me get back to you.
Yeah, she answered it this morning. So then I went ahead and briefly looked at it. I figured I had a great intro. I'll let her talk about her journey and some of the other stuff. But when she said a professional, the starting door opener, I thought that was perfect for her intro. So I can't take credit for it.
I was hoping that she was the one that said that, because if she was not,
I'd be a little mean, actually.
I was going to say I would feel like the podcast is starting off on a very difficult
No, I did.
tone
I
here, so.
quoted her. I should have quoted, like used air quotes.
No,
But
you're good. You're good. I assumed. I just want to make sure. So, Grace, tell us a little about how you got there, a little bit of your background.
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved my time at St. Lawrence. Before that, I went to a prep school in Massachusetts, and I kind of got recruited out of there to go and play at St. Lawrence. And those 4 years were like the best 4 years of my life. COVID hit about halfway through, so that was kind of that kind of sucked. But we were still able to have a season, which we were very fortunate for. We just had to get the COVID swabs like 2 to 3 times a week to play.
oh,
So that was kind of brutal. But yeah, between Zoom University and still being able to play, I feel like we lucked out a little bit to like kind of still have a season out of it. But yeah, our rink got renovated about halfway through my time there. So I got to play in 2 different rinks. I got Appleton Arena is a classic arena. It's pretty well known for having it's like wooden seats and having a lot of character because it's pretty old. And so I got the old Appleton and the new Appleton, which is kind of cool too.
Nice. So, where'd you grow up at?
So I've moved around a lot. Originally, I grew up in the North Country in New York, about 20, 30 minutes south of Montreal. So I was right at the tip top of New York State. The border was like my backyard. So I grew up there. When I was in 7th grade, I moved to Ithaca, New York, so where Cornell University is.
Yep.
And I started playing hockey in Syracuse. So I'd have to make like the hour commute to and from practice to get back to Ithaca. And that was kind of difficult to balance with all the other sports I was playing in the school. So that's why I ended up going to prep school in Massachusetts, so I could balance school a little bit better with sports.
So, how old were you when you went to prep school?
So I went on my 15th birthday. I moved
Nice.
into my dorm. Yeah.
So you were a
I was
sophomore?
5 hours away from home. Yeah, I was a sophomore.
So you went there for 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
So did you get recruited out of that prep school to go to St. Lawrence?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Nice.
so I went to a bunch of camps and stuff in the summer, and that's kind
Yep.
of where I met the coaches and got recruited out of.
Absolutely. So every goalie we've ever met is like multiple crayons short of a full box, and it's usually because they've eaten the crayons. And you admitted it. You had admitted as much when we were talking this past Thursday before our game. You were like, "Oh, that guy's a goalie. It makes sense."
It makes
and you were
sense.
like, "We're all nuts." And agreed, 100%. What in the world got you started in playing goalie? Because you have a brother, and we met him and we talked with him, and he said that he did play This is awesome. So the screaming you're hearing in the background is my two sons that are at the house have now decided, the older one has decided he's going to go bother the younger one so that they can yell at each other. So that's just
Good.
welcome to the podcast. This is an every episode event. Jerks. How on earth did you get into goalie? I know you got an older brother, and he said he played, but we didn't ask him what position he played or anything. So what made you want to allow people to shoot a hard rubber puck at your body?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a goalie since I was 7 years old, and it took a lot of convincing of my parents. So they were very against me playing goalie for a while. I grew up playing boys hockey, so I played boys hockey through high school, like in the spring leagues and stuff like that. But when I was younger, there was one other girl on the team, and her parents let her try to play goalie. And she didn't like it, but because her parents agreed to let her try it, my parents had no choice but to let me try it. I really wanted to try it because I wanted to put the special fat suit on. I just thought I'd look like a marshmallow, and I always
Hang on,
wanted to
you
be a
said
marshmallow, so-
special fat suit?
Yeah, it's my fat suit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
still call it that today?
I do.
That's so good. This is
Yeah,
this is-
and you know, like when you don't have your helmet on, and it's like a tiny little head with like a big
Like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to buy a special fat suit. I wanted to look like a marshmallow out there. I thought I want to be the one person wearing different equipment. So my
And the
parents
most
finally let me
expensive
try
equipment.
it. Yeah, no, I think that's why my parents were so against it. But yeah, no, I absolutely fell in love with it. Everyone started calling me Saving Grace, and that nickname kind of stuck through youth hockey.
That's awesome.
I got it on my helmet too. It's actually on my bucket now. My bucket's all painted. I have Saving Grace on the back. So it's a
Nice.
nickname that kind of stuck. And
That's what you need
I
to
just
name
fell
the
in love with
podcast,
it.
Holland.
Oh, I'll have
Yeah,
to go back and
sure.
rename it.
Saving Grace.
I named it Grace the Goalie, so I'll
No,
go back
Saving
and
Grace. Yeah, that's
Saving
good.
Grace. Can I just
Yeah,
do
no, I
Saving
loved it. I
Grace the
loved the
goalie?
attention that I got from it. You know, I think people were shooting the puck into me just so that we could keep a goalie because nobody else wanted to be goalie. But
Nice.
yeah,
That's
I
funny you
loved
say
it.
that. Even one of our own teammates scored on you Thursday night's game.
You must have told him that story before the game because he was,
Must have. Yeah, must have.
not fun. Not good.
Not fun.
So,
So
go,
you started. See,
Go
go ahead.
ahead. No.
No.
You go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, I saw when you sent me your bio, that you played with, like on boys teams. Did you actually officially play on an all girls team, out like before you went to prep school, or was it always a boys team?
Yeah, my first all girls team, I was in 7th grade. So that's kind of when I went on my first all girls roster. And that was the Syracuse Nationals Tier 1 out of Syracuse, New York. And so that's where I kind of met prep school coaches. I got recruited to go to prep school from there.
Yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead, Hannah. I'm sorry about that.
It's all good. So you've played goalie your entire time. Basically, when you started playing, so we have some travel leagues here for younger kids. We got an 8, 10, 12, and 14U. My youngest son plays on the 10Us. His good buddy is the goalie. And so, but even at that age, at the U10s, especially as the U8s, there's this like cycling in and out of goalies. So you want to let as many kids play. I think at the 8U, the actual thought process or practice is like everyone's going to play goalie. Like so every tournament or jamboree or whatever they go to, like we're going to rotate. A different kid's going to play every single game, so everybody has the opportunity to kind of experience it. And so similar to the idea of like, hey, when you start playing, you get a flat stick. So we don't tell you what hand you are. You kind of feel what's more comfortable, all that. And so, but you basically said, I want to do it because I want to be the only one that A, looks different, and I want to wear the Marshmallow Man suit. And so there was no more rotating at that point. You were like, I'm the goalie, guys, go away.
So I actually did rotate for a couple years. I think I was probably like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 when I really stuck like all out goalie. But I rotated, right? So I would play out one game and play in goal for 4 or 5. Like I would play out just to let somebody else go in. But for the most part, nobody else was really interested in it. And it was the only thing I really loved.
Again,
So
I don't
it
know
kinda worked
why
out.
anyone would be interested in it. It's not. It does not sound appealing for someone who has to
think
play
I
defense
liked
from time
that.
to time. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
appealing.
No, I
to
think
be
I just
shot
liked
at.
that I could just stay in the crease. Like I didn't have to do all the running around.
This was
and skating,
this was a lazy thing. She's like, I'll skate
It
during
might have been.
practice,
It might have
but
been.
during the
I was
game,
a
if I
goalie
could
in
just
every
stand
sport.
right here. Were you really?
Yeah.
What other
What
sports
sport
did you play?
Yeah.
Soccer.
Soccer, lacrosse, softball. I was a catcher. Baseball before softball. I was a catcher.
How much
Yeah.
of lacrosse thought process translates over to hockey for you as a goalie?
Too much, but not in a good way. I would say in lacrosse, I would try to use my body to stop the ball, and you're supposed to use your stick in lacrosse.
Stick, yeah.
So I have like permanent bumps on my shins. So I'd
Oh,
say in lacrosse, like being a goalie in hockey transfers over really well. Like you stop a lot of balls, but with what you're not supposed to stop it with your
The
body.
wrong parts of your body, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was good, but in a really painful way. Yeah. Just couldn't figure out to put my stick
Here
there. I
again,
would just put my
precisely
arm
why
out.
I'm like, I'm out. I don't want to play goalie at all. I don't even like
It's
playing
fun when you're
defense.
guarded up. When you have your suit on, you're good.
Your fat suit. If you're wearing the
Yeah, my
fat
fat
suit,
suit. I'm
everything's
like,
good.
have
I'm
you ever
all good.
seen
Yeah.
the indoor lacrosse goalies? They
Oh my gosh, it
look
looks they're bigger than than her fat suit. That's a legit. That's like a
Yeah.
sumo. That's like a sumo suit.
it really is. And I
That's what
thought
I
Yeah.
needed. That's what I needed.
That's
I didn't
illegal.
like it as much because I didn't have my marshmallow suit on.
That's
I didn't
illegal on
like
the
it as much.
field, but in indoor, it's totally, which is really weird. I don't know how you ever score on those guys in indoor, like ever. You could just stand there. There's no holes. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Kind
because
of
they
just
use
like
like a
stacking
hockey.
the
it's like
pads in a way.
Randy from A Christmas Story. They just can't move.
Yeah.
So that you just got to pick your corners. So
Yeah, maybe if I
Sometimes
move
that's
left
how
or
I
right,
feel
just
on the
gonna fall
ice,
over.
honestly. That's how I feel sometimes on the ice.
I feel that way all the time, and I'm not strapped to the net. Like I have to. I'm not wearing a fat suit. It's just me that can't move. So it's rough. The first game that I actually played with you, I remember you were like, "Hey, go get it. You got another goal." And I was like, "No, no, thank you, but no, no, don't do that to me."
Well, you also have that rule, no, where you can't
Yeah, yeah,
score
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah,
than,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
that's
yeah,
just for B League, though.
Yeah, that was what it was. We were filling
Oh,
in
was
the
it?
B
Okay.
League game. Yeah.
Did you
So
have any issues with boys picking on you growing up or giving you heat? Not so much your teammates, or maybe it was your teammates versus like the other team picking on you because you're a girl. Because Kelly, to this day, has a little bit of issues. Like some of the guys, like, hey, she's a girl, she's playing in men's league. I'm just gonna play regularly, not like ease up on her. And
she sent us a video this week where
she
she got
got
flattened in a beer
behind the
league.
net, and the guy actually got suspended. And
Yeah, it was
her
bad.
teammates didn't go after her,
Which
and
we
this-
find crazy. Like
Yeah.
you saw Thursday when you played for us, Pack, who you've never met before, but Pack's girlfriend was playing on the other team, and we love Pack and Val. Pack plays with us when we travel, and Pack's just a good dude.
Really
He grew up in Michigan and went through the I think he came up through the USA Hockey Developmental Program, and so good hockey player, really really good defenseman. Love Pack. When that guy was taking some wax at your legs late, you were like, "I'm good. It doesn't bother me at all." Pack was like, "I'm just going to chop his head off with my stick." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on. Please don't do that, Packard." So yeah, we don't. It's Abdoo and I both have kind of stood on the hill of like, hey, not that the. I think some girls might be like, that's a sexist approach to things, and it's not meant that way. But like, if there's a female playing with us, Abdoo and I are of the stance of like, hey, you're playing in a co-ed, predominantly men beer league. If you hit our female player, we will murder you. Like, you're not going to do that. You need to not. There are some physical disadvantages that females have almost in almost every aspect. And that's not to say there's not ample. You could probably beat me up. So I'm not saying that you can't handle yourself. Like, that's not hard, But that's how we feel, and we've expressed that to Kel, and she's said a couple times, like, "Oh yeah, the guys I play with, like, she got trucked in some other thing, like last season, and she said like it was bad. Like the guy was mouthing off to her and stuff, and like everybody knew it was coming. She got hit anyways, and all her guys just kind of stood there and didn't do anything. And I was like, nah, forget that. Like,
same
we
with
would've
Lindsay
killed that
last
guy.
year. One of Lindsay's teammates said, "You touch her, I will
Yeah,
kill
I'll
you.
kill
I'll
you."
murder you. I will
Yeah.
murder you." So that happened. Like it just. Back to my original question: do you have people?
Sorry.
Do you have any issues with men, like boy teammates on your team or on the other team, giving you a hard time or anything?
Well, I'd say like I feel like the guys that I grew up playing with really were more like brothers. Like they were so protective in that same way that you were just talking about. Like if anyone ever like stopped in front of me just to even snow me, like they were getting put down. Like they were getting on the ice.
As it should, yeah.
Yeah. So any like slashes after the whistle, anything, like they were getting murdered. So they were very protective. I found my girls were kind of like that too, but not to the extent that the guys were. Like the guys really took a protective stance over me. And I feel like when it comes to playing against guys, I feel like they I feel like sometimes they'll ease up a little bit, but then they just get really frustrated if they can't score. So it's almost like they get like even more frustrated because they're like, wait, why can't I get the puck behind there kind of thing, which I
I
love. I eat
I
that
don't
up.
I don't get to score very often, so I'll just forewarn you. If we end up playing against you, I will not back off. I will try very hard, and you probably will not notice any difference. You'll be like, Holland, I thought you said you were going to try hard.
And he's
Thanks,
keeping the
Grace.
puck. He's pulling the puck
feels
out of the
even
net.
worse.
He's pulling the puck out of the net and keeping it.
Oh, absolutely. Every single one of the goals, all two of them this year. Like, I got it. You saw one of two.
Give me your best shot, Holly. Let's go.
I mean, Lindsay did. Lindsay tried on that wrapped up gift that Holland's brother gave her.
I was gonna say it was your brother, Holly.
Yeah, it must be in the
funny.
last name. It was pretty brutal. So, all right. So you said you got recruited out of prep school. So I want to ask about that, but there's something else I want to ask you really quick first. So you said it was 7th grade when you started playing full time with nothing but girls hockey, and that continued all the way through prep school, correct?
Yeah, and so I would train with guys a lot. So I'd still take shots and like play like pickup and like spring league and summer league with a lot of the guys. But yeah, that was primarily my teams were just female after that.
So was there any big difference? And that's a relatively young age to go from essentially 5th and 6th grade. You're playing with, a multitude, which would be what, like 12, 13 ish range. So when you hit that 14, 15. Yeah. So was there any noticeable difference for you moving from playing with a co-ed, whether it be locker room differences, just, I don't know if you dressed in a separate locker room than the boys when you were little, if that was probably a mandatory thing, and then getting to dress with the whole team, if that was a different thing for you and like what that felt like, or if there was anything noticeable on the ice, maybe the way people reacted to you or the way people treated you. I know you said that the girls, when you started playing with them, were protective of you, but it felt like it was even more so when the boys, and you also mentioned, sometimes when guys are playing against you, they kind of, ease up or whatever. I'm sure the girls were like, forget that. We're shelling this chick, right? So was there any big differences that you felt and kind of at a young age of the difference in that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference between the guys and girls game. So I remember that transition being a little bit challenging, just in the fact that I feel like guys are just like really brute force. Like they'll take it to the net and they're going to shoot it hard and fast. Whereas girls are very like almost strategic in the way that they play. And like the game is just played a little bit more focused on passing and making really quick decisions and being a little like more skillful based. So I feel like there was just a really big transition there, and just kind of getting used to the different like calibers of shots too. Even I played with some guys that were really strong and really tall and like could rip the puck. And then these girls, I feel like a lot of the time their placement was really good. So like the guys could shoot it really hard and strong, but the girls could place the puck. So like that was a really big difference for me too. And of course, like I played with guys younger before they learned how to place the puck, right? So they got there eventually. But yeah, style of play wise, it was definitely a big transition. And yeah, you're right. The locker room too was a really big difference. So like when I played with guys, I probably started getting my own locker room. I don't know how old I was, but once I started going to the girls' side and had like a whole locker room worth of girls, it was definitely really a transition too, because you got to hear like the locker room talk and like everyone is, girls love to like yap and chit chat and like talk about anything but hockey sometimes. So like that was, as a really competitive girl, like from a young age, like I remember in 7th grade, like middle school, when girls are just, focused on anything else, like I would get a little frustrated, be like, let's talk about the game. Like, let's get focused on the game kind of thing. And of course that improved as we got older, right? So at the college level, we're not chit chatting we still did, but not as much. Like we're more focused, but that was another transition too, I feel like.
Sorry, my kid just started yelling and I lost complete
train
of
what?
thought.
I'm over your kid.
I thought that was my internal dialogue. I thought I was
no, it's my kid. They're yelling about a video game. He's yelling at his friend.
I'm over your kids.
I'm telling you, I am too right now.
Hear me out, people. If you want to donate to the Dump and Skate podcast, we
donate enough, please. I got to build a room onto the back of my house. I had to give up my studio so one of my kids could have a bedroom, which is a valid reason. I'm a dad before I'm a podcast person. But like now I'm sitting, my dog is yawning, and I'm sure it's audible.
We need to do a Dump and Skate like
donation.
Yes, and I am
It's going
willing
to
to
cost a
travel.
lot to add space onto the back of my house.
That's
but
fine. Why does it have
I'm
to be the
willing
back
to
of
do
your
it
house?
for you.
Why does
I'm
it have
willing
to be
to
the
do it
back? Why
because I'm
can't you
not
just come
driving
over?
to your house.
So
I'm
I
not
have
driving
to.
it.
I have to
No.
drive to your house.
We keep
for
doing.
this
There's
studio?
there are no distractions at your house. Your studio is fine. Mine is my dining room table currently.
So then basically we're going to get, you guys are going to give money for Holland to get a man cave, and I'm still stuck in my little shithole. So, screw that. Send me the money,
send
people.
donations to
Yeah, send Abodo the money, the donation.
Adobo.
Abdo, no daddy.
You're the
Oh
best.
man. So I love that you talk about being in the locker room and how that changes the dynamics. And now, kind of what you described, or the way I would say, kind of what you were just saying, was all of a sudden it was like you were more a part of the team than you were before, because now you're in there with the girls. And again, there's some of the bull crap that happens in the locker room. It's pretty funny that you were like super duper intense, at such a young age, and like really focused. That's one of the things I talk about. Like when I started playing, I grew up playing roller hockey and didn't really get a chance to be on the ice
It's not hockey.
until like a little bit in high school, and then really in college playing club. And so, but I remember being about 14 or 15 when I got asked to play with a travel team here, that I was like, it's real. Like I was a hard work ethic guy and all. And I mean, we had a good time with the guys in the locker rooms and stuff like that, but I always wanted to be like super hard work ethic. And so I watched my kids play sports, and especially like my 10-year-old playing U10. Like he likes it and it's fun and all, but I keep thinking, like, if he loves it, like there's going to be a switch that goes off that's really a lot like what you described. Like, hey, I want to do this. We want to be good. Like, let's get focused on what we need to be doing here. Like, I'm taking practices seriously. I'm taking, like, I can see I'm deficient in my skating. I need to do this better, blah, 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 blah. So that's really cool to hear you talk about that, and kind of how the locker room dynamic affected that and brought that out in you some as well. So that's neat. So you went to boarding school and you got recruited. Tell me a little bit about the recruiting process. Was it multiple schools, multiple coaches? What was all that like? Stop, Drew.
Yeah, so I toured at a
Dog's killing me. Sorry.
You're crying.
He's sitting right here whining. Like, chill out, dude.
Oh, he's cute though. I see his little face.
Oh, God,
yeah, no. So
sorry.
I almost forgot the question. I got distracted. I see a dog and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah,
Like texting.
No, so,
It's kind of like texting with you.
tell me about your recruitment.
is it too early for me to press leave?
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay, recruitment. We're back on the topic.
Recruitment.
So yeah, throughout high school, I kind of was. I knew I wanted to play in college. Like that was always the end goal. And I remember like my freshman years when I really started thinking about it, because they really start kind of put it into your perspective. And I remember in my freshman year of high school, I was still playing through the club at Syracuse, and they were kind of starting those conversations too. So by the time I got to prep school, it was really a big focus. And, there were other girls my age that were committing to Division I schools. So I'm a freshman and sophomore. That's when a lot of girls my age were committing to all the D1 schools. So it seemed really early, and I think that they're trying to push that back a little bit. But the pressure really got on once people that I was playing against with started committing to schools. So I was like, I gotta get my space, especially as a goalie, where the pressure's on a little bit more, where there's only so many roster spots for goalies based on who's graduating when. And you really had to go look at those rosters and say, like, there's going to be a space here, but there's not going to be one here. So I remember navigating that process was really a challenge. And my biggest priority was just like making sure that I could also study with what I wanted to as well. So like, I wanted to go play college hockey, but I also I knew I wanted to go into healthcare. So I wanted to do, excuse me, I wanted to do like pre-med, like a pre-health kind of track. Like I knew I wanted to do science, which includes labs and really difficult, challenging course content. So there were actually a couple of schools that I visited where the coaches discouraged me and said, hey, like if you want to play hockey at a high level in college, you can't be pre-med. Like you can't, like you just can't do it. We've had girls try and they just can't figure it out because of the commitment of the sport. Whereas the reason I went to St. Lawrence, like one of the biggest reasons is that when I first met our head coach, Chris Wellsy, he's the best. When I first met him, he said, yeah, like you come here, school is first. Like if you want to go to med school after, or you want to, I ended up pursuing nursing, you want to do healthcare, like school is first. So like if you have a lab, we'll schedule your lab, like we'll schedule practice around when our girls have labs. So that's what their
That's cool.
priority
That's
is
cool.
they were like, you come here as a student and then we'll figure out the athlete part. And that right there, it absolutely sold me on St. Lawrence. So when I was offered the roster spot there, I just had to take it. Yeah, I was looking at a variety of schools. I was kind of what they call like a bubble player, whereas like I could have played at a high D3 or like a low D1 and like actually like played. Or I really reached with St. Lawrence because St. Lawrence is a really like high quality Division I school. They are super competitive. They do really well. I think that in the hockey, like the college hockey rankings right now, they're ranked like number 10. So they're doing really, really well. And they did really well when I was there too. And just to be a part of that, even though I kind of knew like going into it that I wouldn't necessarily get playing time, I was like really excited for the challenge and the opportunity to like really stretch myself. Versus, the big decision was, do I want to go to like a Division III school and potentially be like a starter for 4 years or 3, whatever it ended up being. Or even, if I go to a D3 school and I don't perform, I could be riding the bench there. So that was a really big weight on me trying to make the decision of where I wanted to go and what level I wanted to play at. But yeah, I'm really happy with my decision. I wouldn't change a thing. I absolutely love St. Lawrence and I love my teammates and my coaches. If I could go back and do it all again, I would do it all the same way because I absolutely loved it. Had a great experience.
Are you still friends with a lot of your teammates? Do you stay in touch with them?
Yeah, I do. So a lot of them I'm still really good friends with. One of my goalie buddies, Jamie Rainville, shout out to her. We call each other Four, so I can get into that story at any point.
Go right ahead.
It's,
right now sounds like a perfect time.
Right. There's no time like the present. No time like the present.
Well, Jamie Rainville is this girl. Like if you think of a goalie, right? You think like a little weird, like a little off. That's Jamie Rainville for you, and that's why we got along so well because we're just two peas in a pod. 2 peas in like a broken pod. 2 broken peas in a broken pod. But we would, for practices, we would share the same net. So there was one time we were doing like a small area transition sort of drill, and I didn't see this, but they put 8 minutes up on the clock. So they've got 8 minutes up on the clock, and about like after a couple of shots, I turned. I'm like, hey, like, do you want to get in? Like, you want to get in here? But I didn't see that the clock was on, right? So she goes, no, change at 4. Change at 4. And I go, 4? I love that number, like in the middle of the drill. So somebody's shooting on me. I'm like, 4? I love that number. And so he's shooting on me. And everyone was just like, what is going on? Like a couple of people heard it and they're like, why would she, like, it was such a weird, I don't know why I said it either, to be honest. I didn't think anything of it, but it's, that's just a story that we always like to tell because since that day, she calls me 4. She's like, I don't know why you like 4. And I don't know why I said that either, to be honest with you. I think I just like even numbers. Like, I feel like 4 minutes is a good time to switch out on drills. Just a little weird. I can't really even justify it, but it's just a little weird. Like, we said stuff like this all practice. Like, we'd be yelling back at each other, like saying the weirdest things, and it didn't make sense to anyone. It didn't even make sense to us. But yeah, so that's why I get the nickname 4 now. But
This is honestly the first time in speaking with you and the handful of times we've met that I've been like, yeah, she's got goalie brain.
Yeah,
like
this is a goalie. This is a goalie moment.
It's 100% a goalie brain thing. Like, yep, that was weird.
yeah, it's a little weird. And I'm in the middle of a drill, right? And these girls are shooting on me. Like, it's intense, like you got to pay attention. Well, we would just like shoot the shit the whole practice.
Apparently
but
not.
We had
Apparently
fun and we did good. We stopped the puck when we could. I might not have stopped that one because I was more focused on like how excited I was that we were changing on an even number and the number was 4. Like, I love that number. So
this is such a goalie thing. This is so
I
funny.
think so.
Yeah,
we're gonna have some goalies that listen to this to be like, "Nah, that totally makes sense."
Right?
Yeah. Way to
Support
go,
me, you guys. I need the help here.
So when you got recruited, you said you kind of had some decisions to make about like, do I want to go play at a lower D1 level? And essentially, sounds like in your mind, you had the ability to at a lower D1 or an upper D3 program to really, really compete or almost be guaranteed playing time. Again, anything can happen when you get out there, but you kind of knew where your skill level was at. And you essentially are saying, no, I went to St. Lawrence. It was an upper level program, and I knew that I was essentially going to be a career backup. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, essentially. And honestly, part of that was kind of like a strategy on my end. I knew I wanted to go to med school. Like, I knew I wanted to do some sort of a pre-health science track. And I was thinking, I'm like, wow, if I'm like the door opener on this really cool team, like I can still have the experience and like still contribute and like bring energy to the bench and bring like good like work ethic and stuff like that. Like I can still contribute, but it's almost less pressure. So like I can still really focus on school. So it was kind of like picking my battles there too. And then I also was like, well, I can compete and work really, really hard to try to get some playing time. And I was lucky to play in 2 different games. So I was very excited about that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what did the rotation look like for you guys? How many goalies did you guys have on the team when you were there? Things like that.
Yeah, so we had 4 goalies. We basically had one goalie that was like the all-star, Lucy Morgan. She's amazing. She's playing for the Minnesota Frost in the PWHL right now.
Oh, nice.
She's a phenomenal goalie. One of the weirdest people I know, and I absolutely love this girl. I still kind of talk to her here and there. But I love her. She doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't make any sense to her, and that's why we get along so well.
Another goalie thing.
Yeah,
another goalie thing, but she is an unbelievable goalie. You know, she's amazing. She played pretty much, I think, like 90% of the games, maybe more than that, in her time there. And she was a year below me. So we had another girl, Grace Harrison. She plays professional men's hockey in New Zealand right now.
Oh, wow.
I think she's still playing.
That's
but
cool.
She graduated, and then Lucy kind of came in and was the starter after her. So I was always kind of in that backup position. Jamie Rainville kind of came up in the Team Canada organization, so that's the one in 04. And she's a phenomenal goalie too. And then Caitlin Whitehead was our other goalie there, and I love that girl too. She's a phenomenal goalie. She went and used her 5th year at a Canadian university and is doing really well there. So we had a really great group of girls. There were 4 of us. There wasn't really a rotation because Lucy was always kind of the one that got the nod. But sometimes if we played maybe like an out of conference team or a team that maybe was struggling a little bit more that season, then someone else would get the nod. But it was kind of cool. It was a good experience.
Do you guys still get together? Do you do tournaments still together? Because Kelly, like Helen said, our podcast sister, she still travels with her college friends and girlfriends and still does tournaments to this day and stuff. So do you guys still do that stuff?
Come on, I wish. That's such a good idea. We did have an alumni weekend last year that a bunch of us went to, and there was an alumni game. So that was really fun. You got to get everyone on the ice and kind of see that again. But that's like a once a year sort of thing. I wish that would be really fun to kind of get everyone together and do a tournament or something here and there.
Call your friends up. Let's go to let's do the Chicago tournament. You even said
I
Chicago.
know what you're alluding to now.
No, I actually wasn't until
he
you
wasn't.
said
We really were. So we've invited Kel to come, and I don't think she's going to bring the girls she skates with because I think at this point it's less the girls that she played in college, and it's more girls that she's kind of met through some of those ties and all. And I may be wrong. And
she had a headache putting it together. One of the teams.
There's a different girl that had been putting it together. Kel's not really the one that kind of spearheads all that stuff. She had to do it the last tournament, and she said it was a little bit of a frustration. So, but anyways, we've told her just as a friend, like, hey, you should come and just skate with us, kind of thing. But if she could get her girls, the Great Tits, to come, like, I'd be all
That's
in
their
for
team name,
girls.
Great Tits.
I love that. Hey, if they need a goalie, plug me in there. I'm all for it, and then I can try to get some of my girls too.
Let's
one
like
of
you
my
said.
friends.
Chicago's
You know what's
one
going to
of your
Abdoo? You realize what we're doing here right now, right? This is what we're doing. We're going to
Recruiting.
have a whole bunch of former. Yeah, we're going to get our
the team's just
junk
gonna
kicked in here. This isn't even funny.
We're
Grace
gonna
can be like, "Are you guys going to shoot on me anytime? Like this whole game?
This
like,
is the one time-
I'm gonna start
losers?"
playing out. I'm
This
gonna
is-
play
I
out,
will.
and I'm gonna shoot
If
on
that
you guys.
happens, oh God, thanks, thanks so much, Grace. This is great. That's awesome. Here's what's gonna happen. If it's that bad, I'll start hitting the girls. I will. I really will, and I won't apologize. I'm like, serves
This
you
is
right
the
for being
one
ridiculously
time-
good, you jerks.
This is the one
hit
time
with
where
that
it's
too.
acceptable. Where it's acceptable for Chris and Jeremy and Abdoo
just-
to pass to the other team. Just pass to them. They're going to be that good.
Here,
We're going to end
here.
up passing to the other team. Here, just
Stripes.
take
I
a
got
shot.
the assist. Put 15
Yes.
for the other team down on the assist thing, please.
Give me player of the game
give
for
me
most
credit.
assists to the other
Oh
team.
my
Susan from
gosh.
Holland.
Yeah.
From Holland. Okay, just make sure you get it right. There.
Like you said,
Yeah.
you loved Chicago. You had a lot of fun. This is another.
Love Chicago.
It's
Yeah,
another
and one of
reason
my teammates, Steph Oak, she lives in Milwaukee right now. She's working for the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's a really short, it's an easy drive down. I think it's like
Easy.
an hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Already got
So
one
she'd
player.
be
Here we
there.
go. We're on the way.
Yeah, we got one at least. Oh, I know. I'm gonna text her after this, be like, hey, I got you in the tournament.
Yeah.
What? When? What are you talking about? Oh man, that's funny.
Jeez, Louise, this will be a great time.
So
perfect. I love it.
the only other question I had kind of rolling through my head as you've been talking, and like I said, every team I've played on has had a goalie, so I've gotten to talk to goalies. One of my first teams I ever played on, our coach was the goalie's dad, and so the whole protect the goalie concept was really, really ingrained in me at a super, super early age, and so some of the stuff we talked about kind of ties into that. But as a roller hockey player, I played a tremendous amount of defense, and so I was really, really close. It's fun. I was really, really close to every goalie I had played, and I had some goalies that had played in the at the time it was the USA Roller Hockey Developmental Program stuff, but it's the same kind of deal as the USA Hockey Development Program. But and so I had some good goalies behind me, and every single one of them would go through slumps at various times. We had a coach that at the travel level from about 14 on until I was 18-year-old and graduated from it, that was a good coach, great player coach, but really, really, really hard on goalies, like really, really hard on goalies. And I watched our two goalies struggle tremendously a lot of times with the mental side of being goalie. And like I said, my son plays on a team now that his best little buddy is a goalie, and I talk to his parents a lot. I think right now at this age, it's probably more of a mental taxing on the parents than it is the kid, because the kid's just like, I just like going out there and playing. Like every referee is his best friend, because when he gets the puck back to him, he's always got something to say to him and all. And the mom's always like, why are all the refs always laughing? And I was like, your kid's just got a good personality. Like just roll it. But the parents get really like, oh, he let in so many goals. And I said, look, you just got to kind of focus on the things he's doing really well right now. Don't get so beat up on that. The team's not turning around and looking at him and blaming him on things. Like don't do that. So I know there is a major mental piece to any athlete that's playing, but especially so for goalies, where we lost 1-0, it's my fault, or we were winning 3-2 and now we lost 5-3. Like this is all my fault. I blew it, kind of thing. Have you ever struggled with any of that sort of stuff? Have you ever had to work through any of that sort of stuff? You sound like you've got pretty good mental faculty, because obviously you went med, but even your thought process through how you approached college, like, hey, I'm okay going in as a backup and being willing to work for that spot, and I'm okay with being the door holder and things like that. So it sounds like you have a pretty good thought process, but I just wonder, have you gone through those struggles? Have you gone through that depressive side of playing goalie and been able to work through it? And what was that like for you?
Oh yeah, it's a big mental battle for sure. I mean, we can just refer to Thursday night's performance right there. That was a big mental battle.
I'm just going to say, I still hold to.
Not even your fault.
There was a very quick conversation that must have been had between you and Lindsay once you got on the ice that said, "Don't worry, just throw him at the net. I'll let the first 5 or 6
girls got to
by."
stick together.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
So
like
you can go ahead
I
and
didn't
say
know
it was
you were playing.
Oh, it's such a bad performance.
I didn't know you were playing,
Yeah.
Lindsay. I didn't know you were playing,
Yeah,
Grace.
you told me I was
Let us
playing
win.
against girls.
Let us win.
Yeah.
Oh, Val's on this team? Oh, okay. I gotcha.
I love
I
those
gotcha.
girls. Yeah. No.
So do you really,
Yeah.
in all seriousness, is that really a mental thing for you, even in like a beer league thing like that?
No, that was a joke.
Okay.
That was completely
figured.
utterly a joke.
I just didn't know.
No.
Some of the goalies in our A league, like my goalie, he'll have an off game and he'll let in 6, 7, 8 goals, whatever, right? And it's not like we do get blown out like 8-2, but like he'll let in a bunch of them. And you can tell, like after the game, he's like, "Hey, I'm really sorry. That was my fault." I'm like, dude, you had like 6. There were like 6 breakaways. How is that your fault? It wasn't all you guys. I'm like, I don't know. It kind of felt like it was all us there, CJ. It wasn't all you. So even in a beer league, I can see goalies, getting a little down on themselves. Again, not quite to the level of when you're still playing competitive hockey, but
Yeah, I mean, I think with the goalie, like you have to have a certain level of like compete to you. Like you want to stop that puck, and there's nothing you want more. Like, and when the puck goes in that you should have had, like that's what I think is the biggest mental block. Is like any other given day, you would have given me that shot 1,000 times, I would have stopped 999 of them. So it's kind of like one of those like when something goes in that like like you should have had. That's kind of a big mental block. And then there's also there's such a big compete aspect of it. So even if it's not your fault, you're like, you still kind of feel like you have to take the blame a little bit because you're the last man before like the goals. Like you're the last person that can make or break a game. So Yeah, I feel like that's a big like that was a really big mental block for me too. And I had to do a lot of like mental conditioning and kind of like short-term memory. I think that's why my memory is so awful now is because I worked on my short-term memory so well, like something happens, I forget about it. And
Yeah,
I
that's
forget to text you guys back. Like that's
yeah,
I
that's
can't blame
it
it.
has
That's
My
what
has
it
mental
is.
nothing to
conditioning.
do has nothing to do with multiple rubber pucks shot at your head. Has everything to do with you conditioning yourself to forget things.
Yes,
We're okay with you
correct. I mean,
saying
I
that.
think it's equally both. I think the pucks to the head definitely, benefit me in that party. But
What
um
happened?
what?
Squirrel?
No, she didn't get it. I got it,
I know
Holland.
it's okay.
I
Right
got
up
it.
and over.
Yeah.
It's
He was
completely.
like,
It's all
"What?"
good.
I already forgot what we were talking about. So
There it
All right.
is. There it is. There it is. Did you ever
no,
get in a
I'm
funk
just
that you
kidding.
kind of had to dig yourself out of?
Oh yeah, so many times.
Yeah.
So many times. I feel like there's just especially through college, I definitely it's not easy being the backup. Like it's really not because sometimes you feel like you're working like so hard and you're playing so well in practice. Like there will be practices where I feel like I'm like the best goalie in the world. Like I'm stopping every shot. Like nobody can score on me. Like I felt so good on top of the world. And then no matter what I did, like I was always just going to be the backup. So it was kind of that was one of those things that was a little bit frustrating, but you have to remember that like there is a bigger picture, like your energy, your work ethic, like how hard you're pushing out there and like how many pucks I'm stopping is forcing the shooters to make better shots. Like it's kind of one of those things where there's a bigger picture to it and like um you have to remember that like your contributions are also like making the team better. So I feel like that was something that I really had. Like I forgot I would always have to try to dial back down into that, but it's easier said than done. There were definitely times that I would get in such a funk that I felt like my like presence wasn't necessarily important. But yeah. Mhm.
Well, awesome. I'm going to be the reason we have to bail now because I've got some responsibilities here going on where I've just literally just gotten a text and I looked down at my watch and realized, whoops. So, Grace, I really appreciate you being on. This was phenomenal. I don't know exactly what you expected. You probably thought we weren't going to talk much about hockey, but I really appreciate your insight and input. I think you definitely sound like you've got a lot more stories and stuff. So we'll definitely try to plan a time to have you back on, let you talk a little bit more about maybe some of the stories in prep school, some of the stories in college, or anything else you got. But just really, really, really appreciate you, your insight, your input, a little bit of a window into what NCAA Division I women's hockey looks like, what prep school girls hockey looks like. That's just really cool perspective we haven't been able to get. Obviously, we've got Kel that gave it from a player standpoint. You're giving it to us from a goalie standpoint. So can't thank you enough for being on. Again, if you're a goalie that plays for the Zeros, be very careful which doors you open. Grace or Abdoo may at this point be sending someone to your house to kneecap you. So just be very, very cautious. So, Grace, thank you again so very much. Like I said, we'll look forward to having you hopefully on again.
All right. Thank you guys so much. It was such a fun time.
Absolutely. I thought you were going to say something there, so I was hesitant to bounce her off the stage. So, as I said, we're going to be quick with the ending because I've just gotten a notice that I've got to kind of roll out. So, you got anything else to add? Your audio isn't working. This is great. And you're freezing. So this show is going to end with Abdoo's monitor freezing up and me completely monologuing the tail end of this show as Grace laughs hysterically off camera that I can still see. So, guys, make sure if you have not hit the like.
Am I back?
There he is. Now he's back. There he goes. You got anything to add really quick?
Okay.
And I can hear the delay on
No,
your
I
side.
want to get her on because I had a couple other questions. All right. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you, but there's a delay.
All right. I just really quick. I know you got to go. I had a couple questions, but you got to cut it short. So hopefully we get her on again.
We'll have her back on. Write them down. We'll have her back
so
on
I can
for
ask
sure.
her the questions.
Definitely.
All
Definitely.
right.
Guys, thanks for listening. We love you. We'll see
I don't
you
wanna
next
keep you
time.
up.
Big delay happening right now.
Bye. Yeah, there is. Bye. Just hang it up.